do NECA and Hasbro take the collecting habit seriously? Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I'm your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I'm joined by the founder of the NECA Illuminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pooters, the perfect person, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. I'm also joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over, the man known as Bearded Spice, the man Optimus Prime popped and he refuses to stop, the Twilight Knight, the master of Mac, the three-pump jump of taking the show off the rails, Nate.
What's up?
How you guys doing?
Hello.
Are you Mrs. Doubtfire now?
I don't know why I've been doing that a lot lately. How are you doing, Nate?
I'm doing wonderful. I like your shirt today.
So he's talking to you, not me.
Yeah, I can't see your shirt, Michael. I might like it.
I mean, mine's just like an old Spider-Man PS4 shirt.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm currently sitting
nice
on my hands.
Are they cold?
Ah.
No.
Do you have plans later?
No.
Jesus Christ.
40
We're off
minutes
to a
is a
start.
long time.
We're off to a start. It's 2 hours, not even 40 minutes.
Oh, that's
yeah, we still have the live stream
I
after
wasn't
this.
sure how to do that because, like, it was already going off the rails and it was good. So I didn't want to spoil it. That was a good one. But anyway, sometimes I think I gesticulate too often. So I'm trying to cut back on my gesticulation.
Are you
It still
making fun of
counts,
me?
Nate, if it's...
Is that the
Why
joke?
would I be making fun?
I don't know. I don't know. It just feels like, because like you always like mock my mannerisms when I do the intro, so I'm not sure if this was.
No, I do that because yours are weird, but I'm just trying to cut back on mine.
Just to clarify for people who are watching and may not understand exactly what you mean by
gesticulation.
You're not stimulating yourself in any way, right? I'm just making sure. And that's also to make sure there's no ads run up against
That's
this
ass-sticulation, Jamar. That's ass-sticulation.
Yeah, but you mean with like your hands, right? And
yes.
Stuff.
Yeah, just
talking and gesturing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
We'll see how it goes.
Your hands are going to be
So
rolling
far,
by the
it
time we get to
is
OnlyFigs.
keeping them warm.
Well, that's
It
good.
is currently, I mean, it's not sub-below here, but like, it's been in single digits, and I feel like it once it goes sub-below, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's already below zero. Like, that's already colder than it could possibly be. So I almost feel like the single digits are worse. At least it has been, because my ass has been outside at parts between my car and places for work. And I have to go into beer coolers to warm up. Think about that.
Ironically, like the sun is down.
Shift.
The sun is down and it's warmer right now. Like it's 27 degrees, but all day it was like straight up.
Yeah,
as
I think
cold
it was
as
like
be.
up to like, it's going to be 60 next week. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Anyway,
of course it
I
was.
was
let's
going to
talk
make the
about
joke and guess where we're from, but now
our breads and jellies.
Our breads and jellies. So, since the cold open didn't really explain what we're talking about, I'll
right.
that one got away from me. Not gonna lie,
it was cold opening. Keep going.
Yeah. So
you might want to put like some cartoon boobs in that cold opening or something, because you got to lure people in somehow. Because I don't think that was going to do it.
I mean
everybody likes cartoon boobs.
Not to mention after that we spent 10 minutes talking about the weather, so that they've already tuned out at this point. Like this video is like just like the attention rate's just gone and plummeted. So we're gonna start with Hasbro first. Back in December. Hasbro announced that premium members would get a second chance at some Haslabs, and they'd be at their retail price, no shenanigans. And granted, they didn't really have anything stellar.
Oh, I took my hand.
They didn't have anything like super stellar, but like they still had some stuff that I think it all sold out pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. I do have a list of what I believe was on there. So they had that Hero Quest game, the Victory Saber, the Proton Pack, Unicron, and Sky Striker, correct?
That is what I am aware of as well.
Okay, so that's all that I've seen. So all of them were available at the original retail price. They were also very limited quantities from my understanding, because they sold out pretty quickly. So not like the biggest deal, but at the same time, from Haslab standpoint, it does kind of feel a little risky, considering those are crowdfunded, and if people were like, oh, well, I'll just wait and they'll sell it again eventually. Like, I don't know. It seems a little not a great precedent to set, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking precedent as in this could happen again, but this is the first time, right? This is like the first time.
But all it takes is one time.
Sure, I guess that is literally the definition of setting precedent.
Yeah, like if you piss your pants on the way back from an Xbox release,
then you're open to just do it anytime you want.
Exactly. You'll piss your pants while you're in line next time. There's really no...
Because the next time you're like, I did it once.
Yeah, like it wasn't that bad. Like...
That's fair. That's fair. I can agree with that. But no, I mean, I don't know if this necessarily sets precedence in the sense of, hey, I'm just going to wait until they randomly push these up on sale and only have like 3 or 4 available. You know what I mean? Like, is that really going to deter people from, I mean, really, is that going to happen?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who support it because of like how Nate feels, like with some of the stuff. Like, you feel special because there's certain things that not very many people have. You're one of 1,000 kind of situation. Like with the sail barge, which was a very limited Haslab and like barely got funded, that you're an exclusive club. So if suddenly years later people are able to join that club, it kind of deters you a little bit, I feel like.
Well, that wasn't for resale. So something, I mean, you guys would know more, but each of those items that you mentioned were those like easily passed, like the goal easily passed on those ones. As far as like the proton pack, for example, we can just do one of those.
I think Victory Saber and Sky Striker were pretty
Victory Saber cleared everything rather quickly with no drama. And then the Sky Striker, that was like one of those last day Hail Marys, but it hit all of its goals but one. I think that we got to take a couple of steps back here. So it's not like they did a whole new run of these, or something like that. These are purely, so if they had, we'll just say, 6,742 backers, they're probably not going to make 6,432. They're going to make 6,500, because there's going to be QC issues. There's going to be whatever. You got to have some backup to replace.
Yeah, 100%.
And then after a certain amount of time, you're left with some of these, and you're like, okay, well, enough time has passed. I think we're in the clear from having to replace anything. We have such and such amount left. What do we do with it? And so at that point, I think the reason you didn't see anything like sail barges, I think those have just so long past the point, and the rest were like either given away for contests and stuff. Because it seemed like every big Star Wars event had a contest where you could win a sail barge. Hasbro had an event where you could win a sail barge. The G.I. Joe one, I think that was I think they're all that situation. But I think a lot of them, maybe they didn't have as many problems, or, maybe they did make more than they really needed to. Because, yes, these are crowd-funded, but we don't know how many they get that they make. We know it's low, and they're not going to make a ridiculous amount. They're not going to make an extra 1,000.
Yeah.
They don't want to be stuck with it. And just like this, they're not in it for the resale value. So I got to give them props, too, because they did take what they had, put it up on Pulse for premium members at the original retail price. One, for the situation that I outlined it and how I think of it in my head, because I tend to be a realist and not a drama queen and don't think Hasbro's actually out to ruin the world. I think that's a cool way to do it, because you're rewarding your core audience, your Pulse premium members, and charging them the original price. They could easily have taken those, even for a good cause, like putting them on eBay for charity. They could have raised a ton more money that way, but instead they took it at retail value and sent it to people that, I don't think it sets a dangerous precedent, because one, this happened once, and again, once is all it takes, but other than Unicron, I don't think there was anything too. I mean, the Hero Quest game you could get at retail. That's one of those few Haslab things that's been available at retail. So I don't really know. You know, maybe they just had way more of those, and the release to retail is done and whatever. But you know, you didn't see Hiss tanks. You didn't see, you know, ghosts. You know, like, because obviously those aren't ready yet. You didn't see Razor Crests. You know. So I actually think it's really cool that they did it this way. And it's not going to make me think for a second that I should not go in on something, because it might be available on this sale, because in this capacity, if you weren't on the website, I mean, I had a friend, BFC, a friend of the show, was on the website to get Unicron as it launched. He couldn't get one. So there was so few. And so his full intention of getting it, he couldn't get it. So it's definitely not something to like wait for in the future.
Okay. So one thing you mentioned,
he said,
NECA's a different story, but we'll get to
that. No, that's where we're going, because you gave me a great segue there. You mentioned that, you know, they sold it for the original price. They didn't, you know, decide to be like, oh, well, you know, these are super rare and they're going for more money, so we should get our piece of the cake. Unlike NECA, who announced that they're doing this NECA Vault event every Monday for the next several weeks. And they said that, like, I guess looking at the verbiage, it does say you can get some of these these collectibles at their original retail price. So they didn't lie. But boy, have they made some questionable decisions that have... I mean, it paid off because collectors are fucking stupid and did it anyway, but... yeah, so let's go through their offerings. They're 2 weeks in at this point at the time of recording. So week 1, we have the Aliens Kenner, is it Vasquez,
whatever you want. However you want to put that little accent on there. So that's a weird situation, because that was supposed to be a, you know, Latino woman, and it was not played by one. But it's the 80s. You know.
Yeah, the 80s, yeah. Aliens Defiance Aliens Scorpion, and then there was the Django Unchained Mego-style figures that had a whole controversial thing where they didn't get fully released initially because they were too... It was you know, too insensitive to...
People got offended.
Yeah. So... that one, instead of being at their original retail price, because they go on eBay for $3,000 to $4,000, NECA put them up for $1,000 for the entire set. I'm pretty sure those Mego style figures retail, especially back then, for like 25-ish bucks.
They were. The only thing I will say about that before I deep dive into that is they were not on the market very long, and they are not actually allowed to be on eBay, or at least they were not at some time. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was kind of interesting because Nandor, friend of the show, Nandor De Laurentiis, he pieced together an almost entire set, with the exception of one figure, and that's the real stickler there, through shops, conventions, and things like that, because you couldn't get them on eBay.
Why weren't they allowed to be on eBay? Was that like a NECA thing, an eBay
for
thing?
For the same reasons that they got pulled to begin with.
That doesn't make sense. eBay's an open third-party market that sells all sorts of racist shit. Why are they afraid of that? That seems like some made-up hocus bullshit.
It's not, though.
Okay.
It's not made up. I don't know if it's still the case. I mean, we could look now. I don't want to. But I will say, at the time that they originally got pulled, and the time of the movie's release and things like that, they were not allowed. They were not allowed on eBay.
Okay.
And there are things that are not allowed on eBay. So,
I figured, like, yeah, there's things, but I feel like that's not one of them. Like, that seems like an odd thing to not be.
It is. But
again, this was like 10 years ago, so.
Yeah. Probably longer than that. I bet you it's like 15 now.
God, what?
The major thing there is the Broomhilda figure, Kerry Washington's character from the movie. There is something like less than 500 of them in existence. It's a crazy amount. I mean, it might be less than that. I think I want to even say that the figure's like 200 or something like that, but I don't know if it's that low. But it is in the hundreds, I believe, of this figure existing. So to get a complete set. So I definitely understand putting a premium on that because that is like a very, very rare item. But $1,000, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is only something I saw on Facebook in a NECA collector group, but it was a person who claimed to have purchased this set, and the Broomhilda came damaged. Which is a real stick in the craw, I think, there. And like, they even say right on there, like, all sales are final. The condition that you get them in is the condition that you get them in.
Which means it may have been damaged in the warehouse, not even in shipping.
It could have been, it could have been damaged 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
That's fucking shady too.
But still, like, it's the one that, and again, I haven't really heard much about this. That guy could have been fake. I don't know, but I can only go by what I see. I do think though, $1,000,
$1,000, you can't guarantee mint condition. I feel like that's
just the fact that the company who made that still has sold it for $1,000 for a set is just just crazy to think. They're right, but
doesn't make it okay.
Is their right.
It is, but it doesn't make it okay.
Right. It doesn't make it okay.
It's almost though that they're profiting from the fact that it was like banned.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I mean, they definitely are.
That kind of makes it seem a little
so many years later, though. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's like, well, you remember these are too hot for TV,
right?
Like, it's like a weird.
And it also raises the question, like, NECA goes to conventions. Why have they just not sold them there?
That's another great question. It's like, how long have they been sitting on these? And like, did they? I mean, I understand that warehouse finds are a thing. I've been to my works warehouse, and we move through things quickly. And I've been in weird areas, and I found shit that I'm just like, where did this come from? How long has this been here? So like that sort of thing definitely happens, and maybe stuff like that was buried. But yeah, you would think that maybe taking them to a show where they can be viewed would be a better option.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you definitely couldn't have justified the price as much there, because then you're the vendor selling your own product at a high price in person. Like, that's going to probably incite a riot. But if they would have like done this years ago, like assuming this isn't warehouse finds, because I have to assume these are, especially with what came in week 2, I have a hard feeling that these are not all just like, we found cases of these randomly in our warehouse, because NECA is not a huge company.
Right. But just did a quick search on eBay. Not a single one on there. Not a single one sold.
Well,
like nothing. So I'm just
interesting.
The thing that's interesting. Oh, go ahead. What were
no, go ahead, because I was gonna move on to week 2, so I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, I was just curious, like what would be like outside of like retail, right? What would be like a reasonable price? Did you say like $100?
That's a great question, because I thought about that a lot. Because you can't. I think putting them at retail, knowing how rare that one especially is, you're inviting just
scalpers glory.
Just not even scalpers, just So I understand there having to be like
something.
I mean, I don't think that they did it to save face in any way. I think they did it because they wanted their piece of the pie.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
there's no other way around that. It's an old piece that has already been, sold, paid for, audited, all that stuff, profit and loss years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the pure profit, and I would be curious to know how many sets they had.
That's
because that's $1,000. But if that gets me, that pays for tooling on some figure that wouldn't have got made otherwise. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's such a bad thing.
If someone's willing to pay for it, then
right. Because I mean, those sold out.
They sold out. They
sold out.
That's crazy.
I think those are the only thing in week 1 that sold
out.
These are
that's one of those when you want to talk about being in a special club. I mean, one, owning a set of those and owning, really any of them is pretty cool. Like I said, Nandor De Laurentiis has a almost complete set, and it's really cool to see. Because one, I'm a big fan of that movie. They're the retro style, so they're the 8-inch cloth or whatever, but they're still really cool. And as a Tarantino fan, you know, they're extremely cool.
Yeah.
No matter how you feel, I mean, the movie is, I mean, I think it's incredible. But on one hand, I sort of understand the controversy, but at the same time, it's like, this is a movie based on, or this is a toy based on a movie, and I get it, it's not for children, but the movie's not for children. These figures are not sold for children. That's a whole nother topic that we could talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Ad nauseam.
To answer Jarmar's question, I think maybe like 500 would have been more reasonable. Like 300 would have been ideal, because then you're just charging double what they like retailed at. But if you want to get like even a little bit like more lenient, I'd say 500.
Yeah.
Because at that point, there's 6 figures. You're still paying less than 100 per figure, which is dramatically less than you're gonna pay for them anywhere else. So.
And were they like 30 retail something?
Back then, they probably would have been like 20, 25, be my guess, because that was like we said, 10,
high,
10
but not like that high.
It was 10, 15 years ago. So that at that point, even the Ultimate figures were only 25 to 30. So.
Yeah, just looking, just kind of doing a quick search here. There has been a couple places where I've seen the Broomhilda sold, or at least it's being listed for sale by itself for $1,800.
Yeah. So if you got one in perfect condition for them for $1,000, you just fucking struck gold.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Okay, so oh man, I was wrong.
Yes.
So it sounds like only about 1,000 exist of most of them. Less than 100 of Broomhilda.
And we don't even know how many NECA just sold on their site. On top of all
right. So I mean, maybe
that's to know why.
25 more. I don't know, but still, that's still so little.
Yeah.
So week 2.
I wonder if Kerry Washington has one.
Probably.
She's the one that bought them all.
So week 2 got a little weirder, but then they still had one item that was questionable. So we had a couple items that are not even a year old at this point. We had the SDCC Alf figure, which just came out last summer, and the SDCC Greta from Gremlins, which also just came out last summer.
Which one? The red dress?
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, we had the SDCC 2010 Cloaked Berserker Predator, and the SDCC 2022 D&D Lost Wave 4-pack. Those were all still, I believe, at their retail price. But then there was a fifth item thrown in there. And this was the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood lunchbox, which was listed at a cool $400 for a fucking lunchbox. So, like, is this going to be a thing every week with them? Is there going to have one super rare item that they're just going to fucking gouge the shit out of people for? And people are still going to buy it?
It seems to be Tarantino related items.
Which seems to be the stuff that like gets made the least of. So
I saw it. When I saw it listed, I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Because it's like the in-movie lunchbox, because it's not a Leonardo DiCaprio lunchbox. It's not a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood lunchbox. It's one of his characters' movies, and which is so awesome. But yeah, $400. I don't have any information on this one. I didn't know this existed until this came up. That's because I was so excited to see it. I love that movie too. So I also, I guess, just really like Leonardo DiCaprio. That's really weird, but that's true.
You're out of his age range, bro. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, he's definitely, I am not his type, for sure. Just on age alone.
Yeah.
Let alone everything else.
We don't know that.
So this was made by NECA?
My understanding, yeah. Everything in this vault is supposed to be product that they've made that they have either found or had
you
stock
guys
of.
Are probably too young to remember, but like, you know, initially, even before NECA was doing action figures, like they just sold a bunch of crap in Camelot music before they became.
They did bobbleheads and they did those headphone like dangler thingies and
Yep. So yeah, for them to do something like that is not crazy, but I could also see that being like a really low print run
100%
promo item. I was probably in the movie. I mean, not that actual one. If it was that actual one, it would be much higher.
There would be a couple of extra zeros on there,
Yeah. But, you know, maybe they made up so many for something, and you know, for an event and something like that, and they just had those left over. But yeah, that's, you know, that didn't cost $400. Like,
yeah.
Oh, of course not.
1000%.
So
of course not.
So I guess before we close things out, sorry guys, it's gonna be a short one because we got on a tangent about pissing in bottles and the weather and stuff before we even started. The question I have is just like, do collectors just not care? Because we go online and we bitch and we say, oh, this is unacceptable, but then the shit sells out. So is this just like, oh, there's a bunch of scalpers out there who are looking to make a quick buck? Or are collectors still like all bark and no bite? We still will suck it up and buy whatever the fuck they feed us, no matter how much they charge, because we're addicted and we don't have any other choice.
I'm going to say, like, I'm dying to answer this question. The collectors who are complaining about price gouging and shit like that, those aren't the ones that's necessarily buying this. This is people who are just like the whales, if you will, and are like, oh, cool, I want that. And then they buy it, or they're excited for it, or something like that. I don't know if, like, this is not a coined phrase by me. I've heard this multiple times for everything else. But it's like the vocal, like, minority. That's us on the internet screaming about it. There's people who's spending thousands and thousands of dollars a NECA and is just enjoying their life, and they have no problems. So I think it's just us that are like, that's too expensive. And someone's like, sweet, $400, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
You know,
or they're just like, yeah, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. I'm getting it though.
I feel like it's a mix of both. I think there's
people are just mad that they didn't get it. Like, so they're going to complain.
That's true too. Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, even at $1,000, you could flip that.
But at the same time, if you're a huge fan of that movie and you missed out on it, on those figures because of the controversy with it, and it's already out of your range, and then NECA goes on this big rant about like, oh, we have this vault, it's gonna have a bunch of old stuff that like you can't get anymore. It's gonna be, you know, back at its original price for some of the stuff, and like, I guess we all kind of overlooked it and thought that meant everything was gonna be at least like remotely close to the original price, or at least maybe inflation prices. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, they're also charging those outrageous prices. Like,
I say that's what we say. But if you are a big fan and you have been looking for these and have missed out since the beginning, then you know how much they cost and you know what a good deal is. And that's the person that shut the fuck up and bought them. And
do they shut the fuck up though? Because at the same time, like, not everyone has like $1,000 to spend on a fucking Mego figure.
No, but you know, that weeds out, you know, the chumps anyway when it comes to that. But if you're that hardcore,
the chumps.
Like, I don't agree with them pricing it at that, but I also at the same time I'm like, hey, if you're bitching, then you obviously didn't want it. Because if you did, you would have figured out a way. Because you know how difficult of a piece that is to get.
But, so I can't. You can't say you can figure out a way because you don't know what's gonna be in this vault until it opens at noon, and these sold out in less than like a few minutes. So there's no way where you could suddenly like go and get a second mortgage or something to be able to afford this. Or go like sell some plasma, or go suck some dick behind Wendy's. Like, this is a situation where you had seconds to fucking figure it out.
Right, and somebody did.
They put it on,
and then everybody else bitched. I mean, again, I don't agree with the practice, but they also sold out.
I'm just saying it's not fair to say like you'd figure it out, because like if I was in that situation with something I actually wanted and they charged that, I have zero methods to be able to in 2 minutes come up with $1,000 on the fly.
That's your fault.
That's my fault for being poor?
Yeah. I mean, if you're asking
how many lattes do you get during the week?
None.
Michael?
I don't drink coffee.
How many avocado toasts do you have?
I don't like avocado unless it's guacamole, in which case once in a blue moon I'll splurge and get it on my Chipotle.
You're asking the wrong questions, Nate. How many diorama pieces do you have, Michael?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. So,
how many custom-built dioramas have you owned in your lifetime? Because I can tell you how many I've gotten, and that's a fat 0. But I could figure out a way to get Deco and Jade if I really needed to.
I mean, feel a little personally attacked, but you're not wrong.
No, it's not even an attack because it's like
no, it's just
that's your priority.
We pick what we want.
In my defense, though, like all but like 2 of those were like payments like over time while they were being built. They weren't like I just fucking threw out the money to do it in an instant. So like but yeah.
Also, the person that may have bought those may only collect Django memorabilia,
or
so they're not buying.
Or it was just somebody with a really big credit card that knew how much they were worth and went, "Oh, thank you."
That seems more accurate. Yeah,
that's true as well.
I feel like the person who is just a fan of Django and Chained probably didn't think twice about this NECA event.
Yeah, and they have a person that they get collectibles through, which is the guy who happened to be online.
The guy who's now going to be like, "Hey, I've got these for $2,000 instead of $3,000. You want them?" He's like, "I'll fucking take it."
Yep. Yeah.
Or chances are, if you're that big of a fan, you've probably found a way to spend the $3,000. Yeah.
But,
I mean, like Mandor.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we close out, Nate, we have the topic has slightly changed since I put the input up, just because the whole NECA drama had happened. So the original thing was just discussing like if it's okay for NECA and Hasbro to be like reselling this old product and potentially hurting the third-party market, but it's still in the same vein, so I didn't like reissue the input. We just didn't have a chance because at the time we didn't know what NECA was putting out, so we didn't know about the Django Unchained stuff yet.
Oh, okay. So should I not read those?
No, read them. I'm just putting that prereq out so people understand like if these don't quite make sense, because I may not have pre-read them because I didn't have time.
Yeah. All right. So, should I read your question to give it more context?
No, because I already just explained it. So just read the input.
Oh, I wasn't listening. This first one is from Christopher. Thank you, Christopher. If the 1990 movie Turtles were unvaulted, or whatever the right word is, I'm all for it. Wasn't collecting when they first came out, and the Ooze Turtles just remind me how much I don't like the costume changes. Next, Sukmatate. They have extra stock to sell that was either misplaced or kept in reserve to deal with QC issues. What do you expect them to do, Michael? Throw them out like how Jarmar deals with action figure accessories? Also, congrats to making it to episode 101. Sort of.
Didn't do anything again.
I added the Michael in that one. It just seemed right. Sorry.
I mean, it could have been accurate anyway. I wouldn't have questioned it because he knows that I'm the one who fucking posts on Patreon. It's sure as fucking you two. So.
Listen, man, I only go where my face is seen, whether people like it or not. Anyway.
Your face is seen on Patreon all the time.
Yeah, I know. But, like, you can't see my face in the written word.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, Boogeyman 13. I don't treat toys as an investment. And hopefully no one else does either. So I have no issues with it. Heck, if I missed out on old NECA, the idea of buying vaulted items at retail, except apparently Django, would be super exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for the record, I'm here for the vaulted thing. I just don't believe they should be charging the astronomical prices for it.
I don't disagree.
Because like I'm still holding out hope that we get some BioShock in there because I really want to get those figures again.
One last thing on that, it would be nice maybe if they announce ahead of time what that major item is going to be.
They want the traffic.
Yeah, I understand that. But
I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not all of the items, but just like our headlining item is going to be.
The thing that we're gouging for this week is.
Yeah.
Essentially.
The week.
Oh my god, see if this was the news back in the day, that would be a segment. Is what the price gouger of the week would be at this point. What is NECA or Hasbro charging you too much for this week?
Yeah,
that's how you're able to figure it out, right, Nate? If they gave you a heads up, then there'll be no complaining.
Maybe they're just going to be complaining. There's always going to be complaining.
I told you,
but
it's going to be expensive.
Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and feelings on if you think it's acceptable to be charging these prices, if you're okay with vaulted items and Haslabs getting re-put up with any old stock, or if they should do that shit in a back alley like the rest of us. If you enjoyed the video though, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out here on the channel and gets you a bunch of toy-related content in your feed. We've got reviews, how to pose videos, weekly live stream, weekly podcasts, and weekly toy hunts. We've got Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. If you're already a fan of the channel and you'd like to help us out, you can head over to patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair. We have several tiers of different rewards. You can get a part of the episode input and your name read at the end of the episodes as well of all of our videos. You can also get certain videos early, and you can even get physical prints of the photos I take. So link in the description below. Check that out. We greatly appreciate it. You can check Jarmar out over on TikTok at Jarmar_games. Nate, what you got for us?
We got a brand new podcast. It's super exciting. This is actually an apologies to anyone else who might be expecting another announcement, because this one is going to blow the doors off of our podcast network, which is Modern Toy Fair. So starting next Sunday night, it's going to be a live show. Jarmar doesn't know it yet, but that's okay. It's going to be the three of us. It is going to be an awesome 24-hour broadcast from Sunday to Sunday, all the way across the board, and it is feuds, pussy, and pissing. It's going to be a great time.
The FTP show, okay.
I feel bad because no one's going to understand half of that reference.
Nope.
Isn't that a part of
that one's just for us, and you know what? It's okay to do one for us once in a while.
That's fair. Well, on that note, hopefully see you next week. Same
Three
toy
people
time.
made it to the end of the show anyway because they thought I was going to read something that they wrote. But fair. I'm sorry, not this week.
Same Toy Fair channel.
It was that.
Thank you for watching.
Thing. It was the thing. To do it now.
All right. A huge thank you to our Patreon members. Is that what it is? Are they members or are they followers? Sukma Tank, Jason Miller, Havin Hernandez, Aaron Samples, the 45th Lyric, Christopher, and last but not least, Boogeyman 13.